pouty lip frowning.
It makes me sad.
Oh, jeez. So have you watched any hockey lately?
Nope.
No.
Still don't care.
Yeah, still don't care?
No.
Well,
not really.
I heard Ovechkin and Crosby had a great game or had a great duel the other day, but apparently I missed it.
Oh yeah, yes, I did hear that. They both had hat tricks.
Yeah, they both had 3 goals, but Ovechkin's team won, the Capitals.
And they're up 2-0 in the series. I just can't care.
Oh, I want
to care, but I just can't.
I really intended to watch one of the games,
Yeah.
and I haven't.
Same guy that said he was going to watch the Final Four.
I did not say I was going to watch the Final Four. I said I would if the Wildcats had made it.
Yeah.
But they did not, so I didn't.
Yeah, I just don't.
I want to watch because I'm really interested. That and the Blackhawks are tanking as well right now, 2-1.
They're only down 2-1. They're not tanking.
That's tanking in my book.
Though I
have higher expectations for what I don't watch.
It's just I just don't get it. I just don't get into hockey. But I'll give credit where it's due, and the double hat trick is really cool. That's really cool that they both scored 3 goals.
Well, Chris, we have just burned right through all of our topics this week. And it's time for the top 5 list.
Oh, okay, I was wondering where you're going with that. I thought you were going to be like, oh, no top 5 this week. See you later.
Well, we are only 40 minutes in.
Oh, are we really?
Yeah, we can take our time on this one. You got any honorable mentions? I hope you have like 5.
I don't. It's one of those weeks. So anyway, go for it, Doug.
Okay, well, just to establish once again what we're doing, the top 5 list this week is NFL related. We wanted to do it last week in lieu of the draft, but after the big race at Talladega, we just felt that it was a great opportunity to do that NASCAR one, which I thought was a really good one. But now we're a week later and we need a top 5 list, so we saved it for this week. And what we're going to talk about is our top 5 favorite offseason moves, or most important, depending on how you look at it. I chose the wording favorite because to me that can be interpreted so many ways. And you chose important because there are some important ones, and we've talked about them on this show, and we haven't talked about them. But
actually, I do have an honorable mention that I just remembered that I forgot to write down. So I do have one honorable mention, like I always do.
With your honorable mention, sir.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
With my honorable mention?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my honorable mention is using your wording of the favorite for any reason.
My interpretation of favorite
is the Raiders and their first draft pick.
Darius Hayward-Bay. Yeah. Well, I'll say I have more to say on that, but I'll save it for in a little bit.
But yeah, I just think that the reason I think it's the favorite is it's just very interesting that they chose speed over overall hands and overall player, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out for them in this upcoming season.
So I was like, can somebody please tell me what Jerry Rice's 40 time was? I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't blazing speed.
Because that's not the biggest.
But that is not the Raiders' way.
Nope.
They do it their own way. Damn it.
Okay, your honorable mention. If you have any,
I don't have any honorable mentions.
Okay, well then you're number 5.
I'm lucky to come up with 5, man. Give me a break. Honorable mentions. No, my number 5 was Oakland's draft.
Oh.
And here's what I'm going to say about it, is that they perfectly positioned themselves for the number 1 overall pick in next year's much deeper draft. And again,
are you giving them that much credit, Doug? Are you giving them that much credit?
I'm spinning it for Al because he's too senile to put spin on it himself. Let's face it. It was a terrible draft for them. It was incredibly ludicrous decision, and a sea of incredibly ludicrous decisions in the last 5 to 8 years. And as a Chiefs fan, I couldn't love it more. To me, it's basically perfect. I mean, I couldn't think of anything more I'd want than maybe Denver doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's very. I love the word perplex. It perplexes me what they did, and that's why I probably should have had him in my top 5, but put him where I did.
Well, and like I said, I was trying to come up with 5 here, and I'm like, ooh, I could use that if it's worded right. My favorite top 5 off-season moves.
Yeah. Well, my 5th pick, my 5th one in the top 5 for off-season moves is the Jets draft of Sanchez.
Is that my same interpretation, or do you really think Sanchez is going to be good?
I think the reason I've used the wording on this, the way I'm using the wording on this one, is I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I do think no matter where Sanchez would have ended up, I would have put that, because it's, as much as we've said about Sanchez about if he's ready, and he does have goofy mechanics, it'll be interesting to see. He'll either come out and, if he plays at all this year, and bombs, or will do fantastic. It's just interesting, and I want to keep my eye on it.
Well, I'm not sadistic, so I'm not looking forward to him failing miserably.
Oh, I didn't say I was looking forward to him failing miserably. It's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, in my complete non-expert opinion, it's going to be terrible, and he's going to fail miserably.
And so you don't want to see that?
Well, not that I don't want to see that. I just don't care. You know, to me, it's kind of like watching somebody play with matches. You know, it's like, you know, it's gonna, if I was really into it, you know, it could be a wonderful train wreck to watch as they, you know, light themselves on fire. But really, for the most part, I just feel irritated that somebody is going to light themselves on fire, and they're probably going to look to me to, like, put them out or something like that. And it's like, no, you're an idiot. You did this to yourself. I don't want to hear it. And that's kind of how I feel about the draft of Sanchez. You know what? He's gonna suck, and you just traded up to get him. Way to go. In 2 years, don't complain about how bad it is. You did it to yourself.
Kind of the same with the Brett Favre thing. If it's that way, you do it to yourself.
Well, yeah, it's like, all right, Minnesota, if it fails, you screwed yourself. Don't complain, you know. And then like the Jets or any Viking fan that buys a number 4 jersey, you know, I mean, assuming that it happens, hey, I don't want to hear you complain later when he throws an interception at the end of a game that just kills your team, because it's gonna happen, because it's Favre, and you want
the career interceptions leader.
You want it. You wanted this, you know.
Okay, you're number 4.
My number 4 was Tony Gonzalez getting traded to Atlanta, for Atlanta. And I'm using this is a good move for Atlanta, hopefully speaking. What I have very mixed feelings on this. It was a second-round draft pick from 2010. What most upset me was that we got so little for him. And I guess it's kind of payback because of what we pulled off with New England in February, as by we, I mean the Chiefs. But what really disappoints me is that Tony Gonzalez was such a big part of the Chiefs nation, and he was the biggest fan favorite we've had in the last 20 years. I mean, we've had fan favorites. I mean, we've had, you know, people have been big fans of Priest Holmes or Larry Johnson or whatever, but nobody's taken Tony Gonzalez's place as the most, like, popular Chiefs player in the last 10 years. And I'm kind of happy that we trade him to somebody that was a contender that hopefully he'll be able to get into the playoffs and make some noise. But I'm sad to see him go, especially since now I have no active jerseys. All my Chiefs jerseys are not active players.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. I have Larry Johnson, but he's not going to be around much longer either. And so it's like, you know, it's a real shame for me as a fan. But I said this several times the last few months, that since we screwed him at the trade deadline last year, we owe it to him to try and trade him. It's just a shame that we succeeded.
Yeah. My number 4, interestingly enough, came before the Brett Favre news, and it was Sage Rosenfels to the Vikings.
Explain.
I thought that was very interesting because it's one of those things kind of like the Dallas Mavericks for me in basketball. I've always kind of like kept an eye on them, him / whatever, but it wasn't like I'm not gonna go out and buy a jersey. Not my favorite team. Not my favorite player.
The Vikings or Sage Rosenfels?
Sage Rosenfels when he played a few years ago on
Browns.
No.
Texans?
Thank you, Texans. That's what I meant to say.
The last couple of years in Texans?
Yeah. And it just interested me. I thought that was a good move for the Vikings. I think it's interesting now with Favre, but I just thought that was a very interesting move, very under the radar, and once again, I kind of use the interpretation of interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Here's the thing about Sage, and I can't remember. He played for somebody else before he played for the Texans. He has never shown a spark at all until he got in the Texans. Also, in the Texans, he had a poor offensive line and no real running game to work with, but he did have Andre Johnson, who is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and probably the one that everybody forgets about when talking about receivers, because everybody talks about Fitzgerald or Randy Moss or last few years Marvin Harrison up until like the last couple of years, and everybody forgets about him. And he's really spectacular, and that can play a lot into making a quarterback better. I just don't think he's going to be that great. See, he's been with Houston the last 3 years, apparently. He was with somebody before that. I'm looking him up right now. Miami. Yeah, he was with Miami for a few years.